of our citizens.
We need power rankings. I can't hear your power rankings.
I can hear you. I can hear you. The rest of the world hears you.
Hello, members of the most illustrious Fantasy Football League. It is I, your commissioner, and 3-time undisputed champion, Chasey Callahan, coming at you live from the commissioner's office to tell you, I hear you. I hear you. There's been some rumblings. Where are the power rankings? Oh my gosh, power rankings. We need the power rankings. The power rankings are here. So you just rest easy, enjoy the show, and let's hop into some freaking power rankings. Week 6 just wrapped up. Let's go. All right, starting off, we have Tyler in the number 1 spot, despite a loss this week to the Biz. It's a tough loss for Tyler because he did score the second most points this week, and he also lost Justin Fields earlier in that game. And so if he had Justin Fields, he probably wins this game. For that reason, he's really, I think, still deserving of the number 1 spot. However, injuries are starting to creep in for old Tyler. He's got Tua to cover for Justin Fields, which is great. David Montgomery's going to miss some time. That's not great. And the good news for Tyler on the flip side is he's got some depth. He's got Chris Olave on the bench. He can throw into the flex spot if he wants to. He's got Jerome Ford as well, who he can throw in straight to that RB spot. So I do really think Tyler is still in the driver's seat on the right cheek. I think he doesn't have a lot to be worried about, especially when David Montgomery comes back. He still has a really, really good quarterback as well. And so, yeah, I think the sky is still the limits for Tyler. So, well deserving of that number 1 spot. All right, interesting week as we had the top 2 power ranking teams taking L's this week as Zach loses a tough matchup to Michael this week, really because of the CMC injury. It'll be interesting to see what happens with CMC and Debo for that matter over the next couple of weeks to see if they actually come right back and play. What the Niners do there, rest them maybe a little bit. But, getting back to Zach's team, I think he's still head and shoulders above the rest of the teams in the left cheek. His receiving core is just elite. And really the only weak spot is if CMC misses some time. Some depth at running back could be an issue. But it's sounding like he's really not going to miss that much time, if any time. And so the need is probably going to be for a QB at some point. But his team is definitely good enough to make it with Matt Stafford at quarterback. And listen, Zach has a track record of winning in this league. And this Friday, I want to take some time to talk about this Friday. Zach is winning big. As he and Abby have their wedding ceremony, it's going to be beautiful. Memories are going to be made. Tears are going to be shed. You're seeing some pictures of my favorite pictures of Zach and myself over the years, selfishly. But I just want to say, huge round of applause, Zach. Huge round of applause. And say how much I think I speak for the league when I say we love you. We're so proud of you. And thankful that you're a part of this league. Congratulations to you and Abby. And speaking of Michael, here he is, number 3 this week, continuing to climb up the power rankings. I think earlier this year I mentioned he kind of started off slow, and I said, hey, watch, he's going to rise up. Give him some time. He's going to rise up in the power rankings. And here he is at the 3 spot. 4-2 start for Michael. It's a great start for him. Justin Tucker, a.k.a. the Phantom of the Opera, coming in clutch with 18 points for him. The Ravens having a good day against Tennessee. Travis Kelce putting up 12.4 points. I mean, that's basically a weekly thing for him. Some questions at the quarterback spot for Mike. Kirk and Burrow. You really wouldn't have thought that Mike would have quarterback issues this year with those two, but here we are. Probably the weakest spot for Michael. He's got some running back depth with Breece Hall even on the bench. And Zach Moss looks like the actual running back that the Colts should have paid in the offseason. But yeah, I don't want to say I'm surprised by Michael's output and going 4-2. I am a little surprised because he's won some big games and putting up 99 without Debo is solid. So congrats to Mike. 4-2 is a great start for him. And with Debo out, he even has T. Higgins to come into that spot and help solidify that. So Mike's team is overall pretty solid. Great start for him. and well deserving of that 3 spot. All right, in the 4 spot this week, we've got none other than the Victoria's Secret Champ, who eked out a win over Brandon, 92.08 to 89.50. We come down here and take a look at what's going on. So first things first, Justin Herbert did not play well enough to score 18 points. I don't know if you watched that game. The Dallas Cowboys dropped 3 or 4 picks. And so good for Justin for scoring 18 points, but he has not looked great to start the season. Keenan Allen, on the other hand, has looked fantastic, but Justin Herbert has not looked great. And on the other hand, again, Travis Etienne the past couple of weeks has just been an absolute monster. Let me see here. Let's pull him up. 20, 32. I mean, if he keeps on this pace, he'll be RB1. I don't know if he can. He's also a little injury prone, but he's been great for Champ. Kenneth Walker has also sneakily become a top 10 running back. And Champ needs that because his receiver core, other than Amari Cooper, is pretty touchdown dependent. Cortland Sutton isn't getting a lot of yards per game, but he's a big target in the red zone. So he's been catching touchdowns. I can't speak right now. He's been catching touchdowns, but he won't get you a lot of yards. And so it's tough to have receivers that are touchdown dependent. And yeah, that's kind of the reason why I have Champ in the 4 spot. His running backs have been awesome, but the rest of the team has just kind of been mediocre. So that's why I've got Champ in the 4 spot. And honestly, he's still doing great considering Justin Jefferson's on the IR and is going to be for a while, and that's the number 1 overall pick. So good luck, Champ. Good win this week, and good luck next week. All right, and then in the 5th spot, we've got Hilton Head Whalers, Tim, who I thought might roll over and die this week after watching the Rams play that first half. That was wild because they looked so bad against Arizona in the first half. And then in the second half, out of nowhere, Cooper Kupp explodes for 20 points. Kyren Williams explodes for 21 points. Puka only had 2.6, but he actually dropped 2 touchdowns. So he could have had more. So good job, Tim, getting the win this week. Lamar looks good. His receivers don't look good. Kyren Williams, unfortunately, is going to be out for a little bit. So we'll see how that works out. Sean McVay has a history of running his running backs into the ground, a la Todd Gurley. Devontae Adams isn't getting a lot of looks right now because he's just getting absolutely blanketed, and it's not like Vegas has a good quarterback. But I expect his touches to start going up because he's starting to talk a little bit about it. On the flip side, Jacoby Myers is still looking like another potential draft steal of the year. So great work there, Tim. And yeah, overall good performance. Tim keeps marching on. I'm sure he'd love to see JT down here get some more touches and get better as the year goes on so he can plug that Kyren Williams hole while Kyron's injured. But part of that problem is the Colts also lost Anthony Richardson for the year, and so the Colts offense might look like caca. We shall wait and see. But good win this week, Tim. Well deserving of that 5 spot. All right, at the 6th spot, we've got the Muchamandos, Brandon, who lost a tough nail-biter against Champ this week. Like I mentioned, the Cowboys dropped at least 3 interceptions, hit their hands, and they just couldn't catch them, which would have dropped Justin Herbert down to 12 points, which would have given Brandon the win. On the flip side, you really do hope to get more production out of your quarterback, Brock Purdy. You hope to get more production out of Joe Mixon, too. I hope he shows up this year. He's kind of looked bad as the whole Bengals team has not looked great. But on the flip side, Adam Thielen is the wide receiver 3 in the league right now. Everyone not named Brandon in this league is looking like an idiot for letting Adam Thielen fall so far. And then some people gave Brandon a little crap for picking him. I'm not going to say I didn't. I was on that train. And so number 1 stupid person over here, me. Tyreek Hill, also great. You know, I faded some players this year. I feel like most of them have faded. Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle. Tyreek is not, and I was not super high on Tyreek. So, once again, number 1 idiot, me. Nico Collins. I mean, Brandon's whole team is built on people that are winners, that nobody saw coming. So, kudos to Brandon. Great work there. I think a little concern on the bench play. Not a lot of depth, but who cares? Your team is producing. You're 3-3. Sky's the limit. Left cheek is wide open for business. Way to go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon. All right, and now coming to this shameful team right here, my team, losing a big game against Tim to go to 2-4. Not a good look for the boss, I'll tell you that much. Winnable game after winnable game, slipping out of reach, loss after loss, piling up for the boss. That rhymed unintentionally. We come down here, and I think the tough thing is, like I mentioned, these games are winnable. You know, I'm coming into Monday night, Sunday night. I need 60 points out of Josh Allen, James Cook, Austin Eckler, CeeDee Lamb, and the Cowboys defense. I'm not going to say 9. 7, 8 out of 10 times, that happens because Josh Allen's scoring 20, so now I need 40 out of Cook, CeeDee, Eckler, and the Cowboys. One of them will score 15, one of them will score 5, one will 10. You know, the math is mathing. But I didn't even get close. I didn't even score 50 points. I scored 43 and lost by 17-ish. That should not be happening, but that's just kind of how fantasy football is sometimes. You look down here, Josh Allen only had 14 points. James Cook, the amount of times you could have dumped it off to James Cook when James Cook had maybe one defender to beat, I was losing my mind in this game. The amount of open yardage that was there for James Cook that Josh Allen just would not dump it down to him for. D-Hop, 1 target for 20 yards. Calvin Ridley, what is going on? CeeDee actually showed up a little bit. Austin Eckler, he was injured. I'm going to give him a pass. And the Cowboys dropping so many balls. I was going to make a bad joke. I'm not going to. This team right now, it needs a shot in the arm. It needs a little somebody to scare it a little bit, you know, to say, hey, none of you are irreplaceable. And that's what happened this week when I made a deal with none other than Hilton Head Whalers and sent James Cook, a promising young stud, to the Hilton Head Whalers for Pookie Baby, Puka Nakua. Maybe that's the shot in the arm I need, or maybe I'll lose to Luke this week and go 2-5. We shall see. All right, while I'm all doom and gloom on my team for being 2-4, we got to remember one man's trash is another man's treasure. One man's 2-4 miserable start is another man's 2-4 hope for tomorrow, which is what we see here with Luke's team, Brett creeping in. Luke's starting off, 0-3, and he's put together a couple of wins, or 0-4, he's put together a couple, his win streak is 2. 0-4, he's put together a couple of wins, and all of a sudden, he's got some life. So we got a 2-4 team that's got some life. And that's the perspective and the paradigm shift I need my team to have. Maybe I could learn a thing or two from Luke. But anyways, Dalton Schultz has been the unsung hero of Luke's team. Dalton Schultz is sneakily becoming a top 5 tight end in the league, which isn't necessarily hard to do this year because there isn't a lot of top 5 or not a lot of tight end production in general. But Dalton Schultz has been consistently pretty dang good. So good find there, Luke. Jalen Waddle finally has an okay game. Jamar Chase still, he had a breakout last week, I thought. 37 points, yeah, it's a breakout. Down to 8 points. Seattle's defense isn't great, and so that Cincinnati game was not very helpful. But Brett creeping in gets the win over Brett. That's a bit of a tongue twister / teaser for me. And I got to say, Luke, up from the ashes, grow the roses of success. That is a quote from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, which has top 5 scariest moment of all time with the Child Snatcher.
Children, where are you? I know you're here somewhere.
Anyways, DeAndre Swift finally getting the usage he deserves in a team that actually respects him. Dijon Bijan, 8 to 15 points a week is basically what you're going to get out of him, which is totally fine. Tyler Lockett has actually had a pretty good start to the season. And some quarterback woes. Trevor Lawrence has not been playing up as good as he should. But Luke's got an opportunity here to catch a little fire in a bottle. You know, even if he loses to me this week, that left cheek is, as I stated earlier, wide open, waiting for somebody to take hold of it. So, good job on the win, Luke. Big matchup this week. I hope I beat you. That is all. And in the 9th spot, we got the proud owner and operator of Brennan's Buttholes, the OG Biz himself, with a big upset over Tyler this week. A big win for Brennan because going 1-5 sucks. But took out the dog, Tyler himself. Coming down here, Jalen Hurts had a good game. Finally gets back Saquon for some production. Finally, Ramondre has a good game. And bam, look what happens. His team's healthy. Left cheek, it's wide open. Should I have put Brennan over Luke this week? I could have. Should I have put Brennan over me this week? No, absolutely not. Moving on. Amon-Ra having a good game. I feel like he's mostly been putting up like 9 to 14 points. Yeah, 13, 8. Yeah, basically what I said. Just skewed by 1. Putting up 18 points. That's a good game for Amon-Ra. And Mike Evans is going to have better than that. They just had a tough matchup against Detroit because Detroit's freaking good this year. But yeah, I think Brennan has a pretty good team. I wouldn't be surprised if his team went on a run, especially considering Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson is on the IR. So, sky's the limit for Brennan. This might be the chance to catch some lightning in a bottle. Start making your way up that left cheek. It's open for business. For the business. And finally, in the 10 spot, we've got Brett. Poor Brett. I do feel for Brett. King Henry had a good game. Patrick Mahomes didn't have a bad game. But the rest of his team just isn't producing. I guess Zay Flowers had an okay game, but I mean, just no production here. And Brett's in a tough spot because he's got good players. They're just on bad offenses, right? So the Titans, bad offense. Derrick Henry's a great player, though, and he's shown that he can produce either way. Rachaad White hasn't looked great this year. DJ Moore has had massive game-breaking games, and then he'll do nothing. And that's because he's on a bad offense. Garrett Wilson also has game-breaking potential. I'm surprised he's putting up this many points because he's in a bad offense with the back quarterback. Marquise Brown, bad offense. And so he's got these dogs who in any other team with an okay to good, average to good offense would be awesome players. But they're just not going to be scoring because their offense is holding them back. So how do you actually evaluate the trade capabilities of players like this without just getting destroyed on the trade value? That's the kind of tough spot Brett's in right now because I'm sure he would love to trade, DJ Moore, even Garrett Wilson to get a better running back to pair with Derrick Henry because he only has really one running back that's doing anything for him. Because Jahmyr Gibbs is kind of banged up and Dan Campbell hates good running backs. But anyway, I'm sure he would love to trade one of these receivers who are a top-tier talent for a running back. But he's not going to get a top-tier talent running back probably because they're in a bad offense. So I do feel for Brett. I hope I hope his team gets inspired by what I'm saying again and turns things around for him because the league is better whenever Brett is competitive. So feel for you, Brett. Good luck this week. That's all.
USDA certified lean.
All right, then finally, the USDA Certified Lean America's Game of the Week. It's an interleague matchup between Tyler and Tim. Congrats, Tim, on your first America's Game of the Week this week. Congratulations, you deserve it. Make sure you say thank you to the sponsors below. One more big congratulations for the man, the myth, the legend, ZP3 for Friday. Congratulations on the wedding, my man. And yeah, let's have some great games this week, y'all. And I'll see you here, hopefully next week. Peace!
Riding up my way.